positioned as a dual-chip gaming phone with a massive battery and great value. The packaging sticks to the familiar minimalist style. One layer for the phone, one for the case, and a semi-checker pin is tucked under the charging kit. On the front, it features a flat display design, with the top bezel about 2.93mm, the sides 2.08mm, and the chin around 3.84mm. The mid-frame connects the front and back with angular lines, still using a shock-absorbing structure. All four corners are reinforced, and it has passed military-grade impact resistance tests. The mid-frame is made of plastic, featuring a fine grain texture, glossy and matte finishes, and a reverse edge design. At the top, there's a speaker, microphone, and infrared remote control. At the bottom, there's a USB 2.0 port. The button's black polished edges feel hard, crisp, with short travel and a bit of wobble. The back is matte frosted glass with a contrasting color design, a floating metal clasp, and polished edges. The thickness is 8.4mm, with the raised part measuring 11.27mm, and the weight is 214.49 grams. It features Gorilla Glass along with IP65 dust and water resistance. Fingerprint sensor ultra short focus white light solution, position low. The screen feels a bit recessed above the desktop. It comes with a black matte phone case, which feels pretty good. Next, let's take a look at the details. The screen is a 6.78-inch washing optoelectronics 49 plus luminous material with a resolution of 2800 by 1260. You can choose 1080p. The manual global brightness is 550 nits, and under certain conditions it can reach 800 nits. The global peak brightness can go up to a high 2000 nits, but only HDR content can trigger the peak value. The refresh rate is 60 Hz and 144 Hz. An LTPS Touch IC with a 3000 Hz sampling rate. Zone dimming for gaming is supported. 3 modes requiring developer options: screen power management, AC eye protection, environmental light eye care, anti-fatigue adjustments. It supports 10.7 billion colors and adaptive ambient light. The professional mode uses the traditional D65 color calibration with 98.3% sRGB coverage. The standard mode is DCI P3 2015, and according to my calibration, it's set to standard D65. The color gamut covers 97.3% of P3, and the average color deviation is just 1.2, which is excellent. Power test at 76.5% BT.200. Configuration includes MediaTek Dimensity 9400 with self-developed gaming chip, large area Q27K vapor chamber liquid cooling, RPDDWX Ultra memory. The flash storage uses USB 4.1 speeds. It's among the first to support 5V7 144 grid and combined Elite 1.5K 144 grid game frame selection with HR Ultra High Performance. Then, if you enable Super Resolution and Super Frame, it will switch to 1.5K 144 grid. If you set it below 90 frames or choose higher graphics quality, it will switch to 40 or 110 frames. The game also features lighting effects, sound effects, visual effects, motion sensing, touch controls, direct power supply, game companion, eye protection mode, customizable vibration, and so on. It's extremely comprehensive. Testing the new dynamic photo unlock feature at 28 degrees and 350 nits brightness. Performance is explosive. With Genshin Impact under dual chip Super Resolution and Super Frame, you get ahead, though boosting from 30 to 60 frames lags. For performance limits, we tested Wangxiang for 30 minutes, averaging 37 frames per second. It started at 78 frames, stabilizing at 30 after 2 minutes, feeling smooth and never dropping below 30. Temperature was around 45 degrees, evenly distributed, with no hot spots, so it didn't feel hot. While no games have super resolution, it supports 60 to 90 frame interpolation, better than many Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 devices. The model comes with an 8000 mAh battery, and the 90W charger is an 8-port charger that supports USB-C 4W. Vivo's 90W and QC phones are compatible with 50W PD-PPS, but with my third-party charger, it triggers 24W pure PD on the USB-C port, 11W, and 44W PPS. At the same time, it also supports full scenario direct power supply. In actual tests, the original charger reaches a peak of over 70W, but when the battery temperature exceeds 27 degrees Celsius, it drops to 50W and maintains that until the battery reaches 3 degrees Celsius, after which it gradually decreases. Once the battery hits 33 degrees Celsius, charging drops to just 18W. At 37 degrees Celsius, it falls to 10W, and at 39 degrees Celsius, it goes down to 0. This strategy clearly prioritizes temperature control and battery lifespan. The device uses a 24 antenna signal system. Its 10 gigabit Wi-Fi 7 is the first phone I've used that aggregates dual bands at point D, reaching 326 megabits per second. Wi-Fi and mobile data work dynamically in parallel. The system automatically switches under interference. Network connectivity covers kilometer-level distances, plus 5.5G cellular support, 15 5G frequency bands, dual-frequency GNSS for navigation, full-featured NFC that also supports campus cards, ID cards, and more. Top and bottom speakers support audio effects, and the X-axis linear motor hasn't been upgraded. The camera is set up as dual main lenses, a 50-megapixel Sony IMX760 with OIS, and an 8-megapixel ultra-wide. It supports 2x lossless zoom and 20x digital zoom, night mode 10x, 3 color styles, and skin smoothing filter. Night photography has automatic night mode and dedicated night mode. Dedicated night mode controls noise better, but it requires longer exposure time, 6 seconds. There's also a moon mode, and the portrait background blur and subject separation are both quite good. That's all for the initial hands-on test. The main selling points are long battery life, great value for money, and a gaming phone with dual chips that can even outperform others. The hardware is solid, the gaming features are excellent, and it can definitely be considered a specialized device. Feel free to leave a comment and share your thoughts. Alright, I'm Wang Chu. I hope you enjoyed this episode. See you all in the very next episode.